For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people, really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities needs help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 10, starting at verse 3, and it reads, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through YAHAWAH to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of the Anointed." I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to our Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA QADASH. That is all praises, blessings, honors be to the Most High. His true name is YAHAWAH, whom the world ignorantly called God. BAHASHAM simply means in the name, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus. His name is YAHAWASHI, His only begotten Son. That is our Lord and our Savior. Shalom to the Lord's elect, and much respect to the brothers that teach, preach, and prophesy in the true doctrine of YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. There's only one truth. And double honors to the elders, the bishops, and the apostles of the great millstone who taught me this truth. I want to thank the Most High, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RAWCHAA QADASH, for giving me the inspiration, the Holy Spirit, in the Paleo-Hebrew town, the RAWCHAA QADASH, to do this lesson. YAHAWAH willing, this lesson will be edifying and to the point. And this lesson here is inspired by, it's actually inspired by this article that I first saw on the Hal Turner. I did a quick epistle on it about, 2 days ago, I believe it was now. Yeah, it's a quick epistle where this girl, and let me bring up the story here, what this is pertaining to. Where this Ukrainian 23-year-old chick was deleted on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, by this dude right here. So, like I said, I did a brief epistle to the Spirit about 2 days ago on this. If you need to go back and reverence that, take a look. But through the Spirit, I made a point where Trump weighed in on it, and also his son has also weighed in on it as well, and they put on their Truth Social, about calling out the people who have these Ukrainian flags in their bios to speak up, that he's calling them hypocrites. And did you hear what Trump just said? I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back what he said. Listen to this again.
Long Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage blood.
So right off the bat, America has been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities. America is the most violent country in the world. I do a segment through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, and I call it In the Strange and Bizarre News. And 99% of those articles are from America. The most bizarre stuff that you can think of is coming out of America. You know what? As a matter of fact, let me go to one. Actually, let me see something really quick here. 1 second. Bear with me. Bear with me. For example, let's see. Let me use this one as an example. This is a post a few days ago. It says, Influencer Lola Doll, 33, in critical condition after being shot. 21-year-old woman kills 3 teens. Arrested in North Richland Hill shooting. Man hid in bushes for 4 hours near ex house before gunning down her new boyfriend at the doorstep. Okay, that one's. It says this wasn't reckless. Texas man fatally shot 11-year-old over ding dong ditch. Basically, they were doing that game to ring people's doorbells and run away. It says this wasn't reckless. Texas man fatally shot 11-year-old over ding dong ditch. Ended with chilling move. Witness saw firsthand. Police say. She's not breathing. Man used bicycle technique to shook his baby brain into injury. Woman stabbed to death. This is the one. Woman stabbed to death on Charlotte train. Suspect arrested after random attack. Man graped, read between the lines, man graped partner's 14-year-old daughter for years. You know, so I just give you a brief little thing. So all these things that are happening in America, the president of America don't speak on them, but when it comes to this, because this is what is going to help forward his agenda. And, you know, through the spirit, this thing is very suspect. But anyhow, let's play a little bit more here.
Bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people, really very, very innocent people. In every place they control radical left judges, politicians.
And you know what? Let me go to the scriptures, because no one is innocent at the end of the day. You know, the book of Job, right to the point, chapter 4 and verse 7. It says, remember, I pray thee, whoever perisheth, being innocent, or where was the righteous cut off? Whoever perisheth, being innocent. Whoever perish, Salakia, being innocent, or where was the righteous cut off?
And activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when
the same with a guy named Daniel Perry 2 years ago on the train. It's train station. He choked out this man and killed him, and he was praised as a hero. He was given a beautiful corporate job in as a top executive in the Silicon Valley. These people are just hypocrites, man.
23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train, and here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that.
So this is what he's going to use as the linchpin. And it's actually, I just saw something very crazy, is that look how they use images to play on the hearts of people. He says, look at this, look what he says. I'm going to show you again. I'll pull it back. I want to show you, I'll just notice it.
Never had problems in life. Never a young girl that never had problems in life.
Look how, so in this picture, look where she's positioned, right? Now this one, look what happens now. See how Esau plays the game? He knows how to use it as a form of witchcraft to play in the heart of people's minds. So Trump knows exactly what he's doing, because that is going to be the linchpin to help bring in their martial law and this civil unrest and everything, because they know people are going to get very roused up about this. So the linchpin definition, it says a person or thing vital to an enterprise or organization. So this case could be the linchpin for what they're trying to do. Because look what happens already. Federal charges filed, death penalty case. Federal charges filed, death penalty case, right off the bat. See, in addition, listen to this now. In addition to state murder charges, the federal government has now also charged DeCarlos Jawan Brown, Jr., 34 years, with a federal crime in connection with the fatal attack on Erna Zatatuska, Salaki. I don't know how to pronounce her. Zaratska on the city's light rail system. Brown is charged with one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. Okay, it says the victim, a young woman living the American dream. Her horrific murder is a direct result of failed soft on crime policies that put criminals before innocent people. Said attorney, so they're using this as their linchpin, as their catalyst, said Attorney General Pamela Bondi. I have directed my attorneys, listen to this now, I have directed my attorneys to federally prosecute DeCarlos Brown Jr., a repeat violent offender with a history of violent crime, for murder. So basically, it says we will seek the maximum penalty for this unforgivable act of violence. He will never again see the light of day as a free man. The brutal attack on the victim on the Charlotte light rail was a disgraceful act and should never happen in America. Man, I tell you this already, like the amount of things that come out of America, like on a daily basis. But this is the one that they're using the whole thing, because it's also going to create what? The division even further, and for the Civil War. It says, so this is what they know what they're doing. It says, says the FBI director. So now listen to this now. Kash Patel, the director of FBI, he weighed in on it. He says, the brutal attack on the victim on the Charlotte light rail train is a disgraceful act that should never happen in America, says FBI Director Kash Patel. The FBI jumped to assist. See, these people have a very short, look at this. The FBI have jumped to assist. Remember, this is a one-on-one. This is no covering into various states. This is simply happened in North Carolina. So now the FBI jumped, because you can already see right through this is that this is used as a political ploy. It says the FBI jumped in to assist. Of course they did. The investigation immediately. Look at that. This is all planned. The FBI jumped to assist in the investigation immediately to ensure justice is served and the perpetrator is never released from jail again to kill again. See, once that line tells you all you need to know. I want to thank Attorney General Bondi for her pursuit of today's federal charges, which are the first step towards delivering justice for the victim and her family, as well as the millions of Americans who deserve to live in our great cities free from being targeted by violent criminals. Man, these people have a very short, limited, delusional memory. But anyhow, once again, I have to qualify this. There's always some pea-brain listen to this stuff here. I don't advocate any form of violence. I'm just bringing out the hypocrisy and diving into the scriptures, because these people are frauds, at the end of the day. But this is what they're using to invoke what they need to get done. So let's continue here. It says, according to the allegations in the affidavit filed with the criminal complaint, on August 22nd, 2025, at approximately 9:55, officers from the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department responded to a call for service related to an assault that occurred on the Lynx Blue Line light rail in Charlotte. Callers indicated that a woman had been stabbed by a male. Responding officers located the victim inside the rail car. The victim, subsequently identified as Erna Zatuska, had sustained fatal stab wounds. A pocket knife and other items were collected from the scene. Investigators reviewed the surveillance footage that showed the victim entering the light rail car and sitting down in the row in front of Brown. Approximately 4 minutes later, Brown pulled a knife from his pocket, and unfolded before striking the victim 3 times from behind. Following the attack, Brown walked away from the victim. Responding officers located Brown on a light rail platform, and he was arrested. This brutal attack on the innocent woman simply trying to get to her destination is an attack on American way of life. U.S. Attorney Russ Ferguson. Of course, crimes like this affect the victim the most. The victim deserves justice, and we will bring to justice her family, but crimes like this also affect everyone who relies on mass transportation to get to and from work and to go about their daily lives. Federal charges are necessary to protect the public, to ensure confidence in our transportation systems. If convicted, Brown faces a maximum statutory sentence of life in prison or death. Ultimately, his sentence will be determined by the case based on the advisory sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. The FBI is investigating this case with the assistance of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mark Udulo of the United States Attorney's Office in Charlotte is prosecuting this case. The charges against Brown are allegations, and he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. So this is, like I said, this is what they're going to be using to invoke a lot of their their new form of policies, because this is what Trump wants. He really wants this chaos to justify the means, because they are about to wreak havoc. They are about to wreak havoc on the tribes. They are about to wreak havoc on the Israelites. Notice they're saying the blue states, the blue states, the blue states, like the red states is not some of the most violent places in America. Come on, man.
With a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need...
This is the same man in the same District of Columbia. It was put on hold on February 24th, But Trump, the case was returned to for Trump, and he was convicted of what, 34. He was convicted of 34 charges, and you know what I mean. So the thing is with Donald Trump is that he's not shy. He's not a stranger to the law system as well. So does that same law apply to you? There was a reporter recently asked him about the same question about Trump being an immigrant, and he goes, and also having a criminal record. Does this same thing apply to you? He tore her a new one. He was so pissed off. He called her out on it, but she was right. But you see, when presidents, world leaders get involved into criminal matters, it really makes prejudice to the case, because like the guy said, they are the court of law, the system that they created, they're innocent until proven guilty. So now I asked a question here. I said, are presidents allowed? I already knew the answer, but I said, are presidents allowed to speaking on cases before the courts? It says, in the United States, presidents are not legally forbidden for speaking about cases that are before the courts. However, they are norms and limits. Listen to this now. Separation of powers. The judiciary system is supposed to be independent. Kash Patel, right off the bat, offers to step in the FBI, and it's not deemed a federal case. You see, in that sense, it's a president publicly commenting on an ongoing case can be seen as attempted to influence the courts. 100%. 100%. Elon Musk is out there tweeting about stuff about, if the white folks, roughly paraphrasing, if they don't act now, they're gonna lose their country. All these people are tweeting on social media, "Make America Great Again." You can see how these devils are just frothing from the mouth. Oh yeah, you can see, because it's all prophecy. Isaiah the 19th chapter tells you about that. The Civil War, see, and it's brewing. It says, once again, it says Justice Department policies. Traditionally, presidents avoid direct comments on pending cases, leaving that to the Department of Justice 100%. This is to preserve fairness and avoid the appearance of a political interference. You can't get no higher than the president in America publicly. I mean, he's not the highest, because he have bosses too. He got people that he have to answer to, but he is the face of the leader of the free world, so called. It's a freedom of speech. As private citizens, presidents do have the right to speak, you see, but speaking as the head of an executive branch, their words carry significant weight and could be interpreted as pressure, possible consequences. While not a crime by itself, publicly commentary could undermine the credibility of the courts. And we know that with these courts, how they work. Like I said, if this guy has what's called a public defender, you already know his fate. Versus if he have one of them high price lawyers that he, a $1 million type lawyer type. I'm talking like, people who spend hundreds of thousands on their defense. It's a good chance you're getting out of the system, getting out of that charge. It says possible consequences. While not a crime by itself, public commentary could undermine the credibility of the courts, complicate trials, especially jury trials, and even could be cited by defense attorneys as prejudicial. Of course, in short, they can speak, but they usually shouldn't. Responsible presidents follow the tradition of restraint, while some break that with the norm. See? So anyways, that's the part I want to bring out here, because by him going into that and saying these things, you already know what is going to happen.
Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people.
But what he's doing right now is this simple, It says the book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 21. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. The words of his mouth. So yeah, to prey on innocent, a beautiful young woman, and this deranged lunatic. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. He is using this. To wreak havoc on the tribes. That's all it is. Because notice how he's saying the blue states. Traditionally what? Israelites. Traditionally what? Voted Democrats. America is so divided. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Because this is what he do right off the bat. It says you what? The FBI director is involved. Don't you see something? Don't you smell something fishy here? It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Let me see. America, let me see if I can find this stat. Let's see if I can find something here. May not ask the right question, but how many people were murdered in America yesterday alone? In the last 72 hours, let's see if I can see this. Let's see. And don't believe all that crap about thing on their own website. I wasn't able to find it in regards to the violent crimes. The most violent, heinous crimes in America are done by the white folks, so-called white folks, topping the charts. Don't believe that hype. Let me see if I can read this nonsense here. Last 72 hours. Okay, I want to go with murder. Okay. What is this? Maryland, Baltimore. Give you the address. Okay, 1. Baltimore again. 2. Orlando 3. Where is that? Baldwin Park, another one. There's way more than this, but Chicago. Anyways, that might be an interesting website to bookmark. But anyhow, that's not the point. This is the word. This is the book of Revelation, because this is what his whole point is. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. It says, "And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our power, and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down." Who is the accuser of our brethren? Esau, Edom. Oh, look at them. Oh, these single mother homes, these thugs, these violent gangs, these criminals. Look at them. But meanwhile, they're the ones who's bringing all the drugs into the areas. They're the ones bringing all the guns. They're the ones who's funding one side, creating all these groups. You know, they got these things right now that they got these masks that are silicone masks. You can be anything to anybody you want to be. These masks are so paper thin, and they're so like they put them on. I seen. Let me see if I can find that. Show me video of people putting on these silicone masks to look like other races. All right, let's see. Is this TikTok? Let's see.
This is an ultra-realistic, identity-changing mask, and these look so human-like that the CIA uses them to go undercover.
There you go.
So today, I'm gonna see how real I can get myself to look, and you rate it in the comments.
Look at this guy.
Now, the texture, look, and even feel of these masks are so realistic that a study shows 1 in 3 people can't distinguish these from a real face. And costing over $500 and 6 weeks to make, I'm curious how much more realistic the government versions are. Well, without further ado, please subscribe, and
So there's your point. There's my point.
pass as
Let me
a
see if I
real
find
person?
another one. Oh, let me see.
If you lived behind me is
Anyways, you get the point. This looks like it's supposed to be messy, but you get the point. You know, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Contrary to 107 of the Copyright Act, fair use. So now let's come back here. It says, "For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night." Look at these thugs. Look at these animals. Look at these criminals. Look at these savages. Those words carry a lot of weight, you know. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 14. It says, because, you know, we only have the help of YAHAWASHI, nothing else. It says, for the Lord will not cast off his people, the Israelites, neither will he forsake his inheritance. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, because we know the wrong judgment proceeded in his system. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow unto it, shall follow it. Salakia. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Because they have ulterior motives for what they're doing. Make no mistake, they have ulterior motives. You know, dropping down to verse 20, because this is what they want to do. You see, it says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which framest mischief by law?" Because they have the power, they framest mischief by law. So they're using this one case as the linchpin to wreak their havoc, you know. But this is what he's being exposed right now, and he doesn't like it. You see, the scripture says, "The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, his plot, his sin, his wickedness, and the earth shall rise up against him." Because all over social media, you're seeing people calling out these devils for all the stuff that they're doing. All the stuff that they're doing is what? The problems in the earth. I said this before. The vast majority of the problems in the earth are done by these people. Are done by Esau, Edom. The vast majority of the problems. I'm not talking a little stupid little guy stealing a bike from a bike stand, or a guy stealing a car or whatever. I'm talking like the real grimy stuff. Destroying governments, destroying nations, destroying towns, using people as chemical, using people to drop bombs on them, destroying nations, destroying families, slaughtering, Man, this man has a lot to pay for, but yet he wants to point the finger to make Jake be the wicked. But anyhow, I'm going to leave it right there. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Hope you've been edified. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor due to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Shalom.
In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23